Just us.
Yes.
You know, I'm a member of both the Writers Guild and the Directors Guild for 20 years or something like that. And I think, you know, I can't say that I have answers or real suggestions. I think, you know, an equitable deal has got to be reached for anybody to go forward. People are suffering. I think, you know, I think the Directors Guild had different issues to solve. There are things that were facing the writers in particular and the actors that really don't apply to the directors. So I expect it was less challenging for them to make that deal. But you know, maybe somebody might tell me, well, you don't really know what you're talking about. But that's my feeling and impression about it.
Thanks very much. Congratulations, Wes. Sergeant Schaefer here.
I would say we made other shorts, you know, in the same kind of project. But I'll also say, you know, the shooting of this one, Henry Sugar, it must have been 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks or something. So it's not an undertaking like a feature film. In a way, it's almost more like a little theatrical presentation that we've found a way to film.
Can you talk to me about the background, passing from one scene?
It's a completely English cast. It all has to be people who you can hand not just paragraphs but pages of text that they've got to perform. They've got to absorb it, and they've got to then make it so they can really play with it. So that limits the pool of people, although there's a high percentage of them in the English movie and theater world. But Rafe is somebody, I know Rafe for many years, and I've worked with Rafe before so extensively, and I knew Rafe would, essentially, he'd just take it away, and I'd be the audience. And that's the ideal thing, to be able to just, you know, sit there on the set and watch someone perform the movie.
Hello. So I'm curious, like, what you feel about the recent.
You know, I was quite frightened to work with Ben Kingsley. And when I first met him, he's very, you know, he's a very erect posture. He's intimidating, and a little bit scary, I would say. And he and I've been a very great fan of his for so long, and I just wasn't quite sure, how do I be the director with Ben Kingsley? What is my role going to be? And then and we didn't know each other. We met once before the movie, and I mean, we'd spoken about the character and what's going on, and he'd been studying, and he was saying, this is a lot to memorize. But then the instant that he arrived on the set, he was so gentle and gracious, and I felt within 10 minutes of starting on our first day of work together, I could just feel him feeling, I'm comfortable. I feel like this is going to work.
Events as far as hiring sensitivity readers to.
In the other short films that eventually will add to this, the same cast is sort of swirled around. You know, we have Rafe, we have Benedict Cumberbatch, we have Richard Ayoade, we have Dev Patel, we have Ben Kingsley. They play different roles in different short films we made. And also Rupert Friend, who's not in Henry Sugar, but he's in 2 of the other ones that we made. So it is like a theater company.
But I'm not sure if that's an edifying course of action or not. So I'm curious how you feel about that.
You know, I'm probably the worst person to ask about this because, you know, if you ask me, should Renoir be allowed to touch up one of his pictures and modify it, I would say no. It's done. Somebody bought it. It's in a museum. I don't think even the artist. I don't want even the artist to modify their work. I understand the motivation for it, but I sort of am in the school where when the piece of work is done and we participate in it, the audience participates in it, we know it, and so I sort of think when it's done, and certainly no one who's not an author should be modifying somebody's book. He's dead.